All right, here we go. Welcome to another episode of the Wall Street Rundown. Today is Friday, the last day of the month, man. And boy, was it wild. We had some wild, wild things happening today. But we're definitely living in a time where it's like, man, I swear it reminded me like back in like 2019, 2018, 2020. Like it literally reminded me of that time. It's just like things like you wake up, everything looks one way, you go to sleep, by the time you come back, it looks a different way. You know what I mean? It's like there's no certain direction that the market is taking. And I feel like we're gonna stuck in that rut right now. So
I'll give you an example. So I was looking at a bullish entry on HIMS today.
mm,
HIMS was down 3% in the pre-market.
yeah.
The moment I was about to get into a position, I said, let me wait for maybe the first 5 minutes. It went green. You're talking about a 3% move in less than 5 minutes.
It's
So don't trust what you see pre-market.
it's nuts, man. But definitely it was a roller coaster, man. Like most of the indices that we've seen, the volatility, man, is it's been nuts. And it's not about because of like the the technical or anything like that. It's literally just all news. You know what I mean? S&P 500 and Russell 2000, everything kind of like got affected by the whole everything that's happened, like geopolitical events. You know, we've seen what happened today when President Zelensky from Ukraine came to visit the White House. Like it was it was in shambles. I hope you guys got to see that drama unfold, man. It was very, 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 very interesting. So
I don't know if I've ever seen somebody get
I
kicked out
have
the White
never
House.
seen it. You know what I mean? Like I think like a lot of people are saying like a lot of those things usually take like those serious conversations that you see in there, it usually take place after the reporters leave.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Not during like when reporters are there. So they definitely got the they got to see some entertainment today. You know what I mean? So but yeah, tech got beat. Everything kind of got beat, and then we see what happened like the last hour. I think what happened. We see like a crazy drop right around. I forgot what time was it, but we see like a crazy drop came out of nowhere.
Oh, you
Um,
talking about yesterday or today?
no, today, like
Oh, okay.
we had a drop just came out of nowhere, and then everybody was wondering like, what the heck happened? It was because the whole president was talking to the president of Ukraine and all the stuff that was saying. The one thing I'm kind of like surprised about is the market reacting to something that has nothing to do with the market. So I don't know if I don't know if you have any feedback on that, but I was like, they're just having a conversation about the war and what's going on with the war, but what's that got to do with the market? So I was kind of just gonna wrap my mind around that.
Yeah, I didn't see much market movement from their discussion. I don't know if that drop that we got, let me see what time this was. This was around like 9 a.m. That drop we got around 9 a.m. I don't know if that was due to their conversation. It could have been because how should I put it? I don't know if the market was trying to price in like the war possibly ending, and then with that whole discussion getting heated, they were like, okay, it's not going to end, so it started dropping. I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
especially based on how the market closed.
Right,
Like
right, right.
that doesn't make. I don't know if that's related. I really
No,
don't
I, I
know.
was I was referring to the there's a drop that happened around like 2 o'clock. And I think
Oh, what?
it was right around when they were having those conversations. So if you look at candles from 2 o'clock,
Let me
even
see.
on SPY or QQQ, you will see like these two crazy candles that just came out of nowhere, just drop
Okay, I see what you're talking
on
about.
like a
Yeah, I don't.
15 to 30
Yeah,
minutes.
yeah, that I don't know. I'd be honest with you, I do not know. I
Yeah,
don't know.
we're just
The
seeing some gyration today.
Yeah, the only I mean, I missed the back half of the market. Like I said, I made one scalp on QQQ with some zero DTE expiration options.
Yeah.
But the run that we got at the end, I've been looking for news or been looking for what could have caused that, and I don't see anything.
Nope. Nope.
I don't see anything. And the only thing that I can think of at this moment is maybe people people started to assess the PCE data and they got a little bit optimistic. Or I wouldn't even say a little bit optimistic. They got really optimistic because
Yeah.
that close was crazy. I mean, I just look at the last. Let me see the last two candles on the hourly chart on QQQ were ridiculous.
Hmm.
So I'm trying to put my finger on what happened, but especially after the week we had. And then I saw a headline about first quarter 2025 GDP. The Atlanta Fed
Oh yeah, I saw that one.
is pricing in negative GDP for the first quarter.
But you didn't see any reaction to that,
Nope.
which is crazy.
That is crazy.
I was for sure the market was gonna sell off. Nope.
That's what
Nothing.
I thought too.
So,
I saw that news drop and I was like, oh yeah, we're not done yet.
hmm,
Because going from 2.3%, because right now I think fourth quarter 2024, the second reading came in at 2.3%. And I think we're going to get the last reading on March 27th. So we're going to get it next month.
yeah.
So going from 2.3% to negative GDP, that's not good
Mm-mm. That's a crazy revision.
because two straight quarters of negative GDP equals a recession. That's a
Hmm.
definition. That's a technical definition of a recession. So if we got one for a first quarter, everybody's gonna be thinking we might get another one in the next quarter. So I don't know. I can't. If I were to tell you that I could explain the price action today, I don't have a. I don't have
Yeah,
any
it's
thoughts.
it makes no economical sense, right? It's just. But if you look at overall market though, like if you look at overall how last month closed versus this month, we didn't go any higher.
No.
You know what I mean? I mean, if you look on SPY, we went up, we took off last month's high, but we came right back down.
Yeah. Same thing with QQQ.
Yeah, so we didn't really close too high. So we didn't really gain too much from last month, which is, in my opinion, we still closed in a negative, even though you know we closed in the green this month. Overall, the market really didn't go anywhere this month.
Yeah. So if you want to get real technical, I'm looking at QQQ right now. We took the high out of last month. We also took the low out of last month. But I think the only thing that you can kind of hang your hat on is we have not closed on the monthly chart below this fair value gap.
Yeah,
Have not. And that fair value gap spans from 501.35 to 509.29 on the monthly. So there are still some buyers in that zone right now. We closed below the weekly fair value gap, but I think that got invalidated a couple months ago. I mean, a couple
yeah,
weeks ago
yeah,
because we saw
yeah.
some gyrations. But I cannot say that with confidence, I should say, that today's end of our rally gives me a boost that we're done selling. I can't say that with confidence.
Nope.
I
I'll give you
cannot.
another thing. We didn't go above yesterday's high either. If you look at the daily chart, even on QQQ, we didn't go above yesterday's high. Like the high that we hit that we had sold
Mm,
off from, we didn't hit that. Same thing with SPY, we didn't go to that. So it's like we're definitely kind of stuck in a zone going into March that I
mhm.
am like I am not all optimistic. I'm not saying I'm bearish, but it's like I'm not all like we're out of this zone just yet. Yeah.
Um, Now I will say this though. Um, there are some now. Actually, before I get to that point, go look at how XLF closed today.
Oh yeah.
Financials.
Yes, sir.
Financials made a very, very, very convincing move into close
Yep.
today. And
Yep. Look at look
I'm
at
not,
look at Bank of America, the way it closed today.
let me see. Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, Bank of America made
Yeah.
some. Some crazy move today.
With Bank of America that I've had trouble with is this 4680 level area has been 4680 to 47 giving me issues because I've been looking for an entry in Bank of America for the last couple of weeks and I just have not been able to find it. But yeah, it made a very convincing move today.
Yeah,
Um,
they had a really good flow that came in today in the options flow. I think it was
hmm
1.8, $1.7 million or something like that
hmm
for March 21st for that 4650 um position. If you go look on there, there's a hell of a volume on there. It's like crazy volume on there. But
Yeah,
that's probably why we're seeing this move today. So something definitely brewing with the financials coming up.
yeah, because financials they have been a market leader quietly.
Yep.
I know tech gets all the love, but financials has been a quiet market leader. And I'll say this too. The earnings that have come in, at least from the companies that have reported, for the most part, they've been pretty good. Like there's
Yep.
hasn't been any like big red flags in the earnings numbers that I've seen with a lot of the major companies. So, I mean, I know NVIDIA sold off, but at the same time, it's not like they put up bad numbers.
Right, right, right.
So I still feel like the market can have a good year, but again, I have to taper expectations of what to expect long term because again, we had what 2 years of back to back 20%
Yep.
gains. I don't think we're going to get a third year. I don't think that's possible. Um, unless the Fed goes on like a very, very aggressive cutting spree, which is not going to happen either.
Right, right.
So, you know, just based on looking at where we're at, to me, let me let me actually pull this back and look at a yearly chart instead of a
I mean, honestly, if you look
monthly.
at the year, we're not looking good. We just had like a fail two on QQQ. How the spy looks like.
Yeah, I'm
We
pulling up QQQ right now.
yeah, we have a failed two up on QQQ.
Yeah, failed two up on
Spies always there.
QQQ. Took out last year's high, but now we're starting to trend downward. I wouldn't be surprised if for the rest of this year we just trade within the candle from last year.
Yep.
Hopefully we don't break it, but it would not surprise me if we just trade in between this candle.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There's unlike last year there was a few variables that were affecting the market, but not as much as you can contend with when it comes to this year. Not even close.
Mm-hmm.
Last year was mostly focused on inflation, jobs, inflation, jobs, things that was basically the headline every single day.
Right.
Market was running mostly on what you expect the market to run on, earnings and economic data. Now the market is running and moving based on headline risk.
Basically,
Um, all of the economic data kind of like matters, but not really. So,
yeah.
but I will
They,
say this though, the long term end of the yield curve on QQQ, I'm not QQQ, TLT made a pretty substantial drop this week. Because if you look at TLT, we went from about 89-ish.
yeah, TLT was definitely moving. Like,
Yeah, TLT had a very strong week.
yeah.
So that tells you that the long end of the yield curve coming down, which is good for things like mortgages and things that are tied to like long-term debt. That's usually
Yeah.
good. But you also have to realize that if the market is starting to sniff growth is slowing down, it's not always a good thing either. So it could be a two-edged sword at this point, but it's starting to approach. It just broke above the 200-day EMA,
Yeah. And he closed above
and
that
it
too.
closed above it this week. So
Yeah.
would not
Yeah,
be
I meant to
surprised.
send you this, but there's some crazy volume on calls on TLT also.
Oh wow, really?
There's like crazy flows on there, man. It's yeah. So somebody's thinking we're gonna go higher, basically.
So let me also put this out there though that we saw this week. We saw some big orders on the 60, 65, and 70 VIX
Yes.
going into May.
That got me that had me a little like what is
That
happening?
had me shook. That had me
Because
shook
that's a
because
lot of money.
you understand, yeah, it was north of like three, $400 million.
Yep.
Not 300, 400 million, like 4 million, like five
It was a
million
lot.
dollars.
It was a lot.
And the thing that worries me is you got to understand we're at 20-ish.
Yeah, I
A
mean we
three
dropped to like
hundred
19 at the
a
close, but still
three
that's still high.
hundred percent move in the VIX. That's scary.
That is very scary.
And again, when you see orders that big, you know those are not like those aren't retail. That's institutional.
Mm-hmm.
So I would keep an eye on that because to me, people don't make those types of trades, in my opinion, unless they know something. Because remember back in December when we saw those large VIX orders, man, December 18th, when we had that Fed meeting, the market got hammered.
Yep.
Then a couple weeks ago, we saw the same thing.
Yep.
This week and last week, the VIX spiked. A 60 VIX would scare the living bejesus out of
Hmm.
me.
Yeah, because the one from December was what 20s and 30s, right? It wasn't
I,
like 60.
no, it wasn't 60. I don't think we've seen 60 since August 5th of last year
Yeah.
when we had that scare from the
That's
jobs
scary, yeah.
number. Yeah. So, oh man.
When it is, I'm just wondering, like, when is it? Are we getting another? We should be getting a job number this coming Friday, right? Friday or Thursday?
Let me see. Let's take a look.
Because I'd be
Uh,
curious to know when we're actually gonna get those numbers for all these federal employees that's not getting.
Oh, that's getting laid off?
Yeah, I'm wondering when we're actually gonna get those numbers trickling in. You know what I mean? Like when are they?
So, aren't they being paid though while they're laid off?
No,
If
some
I'm
of
not
them got
mistaken.
fired.
Oh,
Some of them
okay.
straight up got fired, not laid off, just fired.
So
They,
they're not like on paid leave or anything like
no,
that.
they just like we no longer need your service, basically.
Ooh, ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Well, that's not good.
yeah, there's a few of them that like were given those packages, but some of them were like literally just like you fired. You
Okay,
know.
so they got to go find another job. Dang. Okay. Well, I know we saw an uptick in weekly jobless claims on Thursday this week. I don't know what's gonna happen, and they report that weekly. That's every Thursday. So
Yep.
that might be a number we might have to start paying attention to now to start seeing if those folks,
Yep.
if they don't find employment, I might start ticking that number up.
Yep. Because that goes in line with the Fed mandates, right? Making sure like everybody have a job. So
Right? Yeah.
if that start trickling, going up, ugh, that might
Yeah.
that might cause a scare again, like we did last time.
And we're not going to see the tariff numbers on anything until maybe what, April, May ish.
No, because it actually doesn't start till April now, right?
No, I think Mexico. I heard, if I'm not mistaken. I think Mexico and Canada starts next week, the 2nd of March,
Okay.
and I think there's retaliatory tariffs starting April 4th. I forget who those are on,
Okay. So yeah, we'll
but
probably start seeing those numbers in April, May. The real world numbers probably like the cumulative, but I won't see it till like July, maybe like end of
hmm
second quarter.
yeah,
So I was hoping, man, we get it over with in the first quarter so we can see how it
yeah. So we
affects.
can see what's going to happen.
Right, but it's just been getting pushed and pushed. So we're about to see, man.
Yeah. So, but at least from an economic standpoint, like I guess the market's trying to figure out what the tariffs are going to do to overall inflation and
Yep.
stuff like that, but we don't have any really concrete numbers or anything to really go off of at this point.
Which is
So,
which is scary, man. Again, we talked about this, right? The market does not like uncertainties.
no.
Like, depending on who's in the office, like the market is always going to be gyrating, like because they don't never know what's going to happen. So, The other thing that we talked about that concerned me a little bit, like one of the biggest investors, Warren Buffett, is actually like sitting out. Like he's not really, he took most of the majority of his money out the market. You know what I mean? And again, that could just be due to like, hey, it's unpredictable right now. I don't want to risk too much. I'm gonna just sit back. You know what I mean? Or it can be like, I see some stuff coming down the pipeline, so I'd rather sit on cash and wait for opportunity to show up. We don't know, you know? So we
Yeah,
just have
and I know Warren and most hedge funds, they don't really they expose their positions every quarter, so we don't really know what they're doing until the quarter
right now.
ends
Yep.
and they report. So there's a lagging effect as far as that data is concerned. But
Yep.
to me, just knowing Warren Buffett's track record, I don't see him deploying anything in this market environment because
Mm-mm.
he's a pretty, I mean, he's a pretty conservative investor if we ask
Right.
me. Like he's very
Right.
conservative. He doesn't invest in high growth. I mean, I don't think he owns one share of NVDA. Yeah, he doesn't
Mm-mm.
invest in high growth. That's not his
Mm-mm.
forte. So right
Mm-mm.
now, I think what still somewhere around over $300 billion in cash in treasuries, earning about 4%. To me, he's probably just like, yeah, I'm just gonna sit on this until I find an opportunity for us to, you know, when all the smoke kind of dies down. And I don't see the
Right.
smoke dying down anytime soon. And I've said this year, I don't think we will see a VIX under 15 this year.
You've been right so far.
I mean, we've seen a couple drops below it, but once we get below 15, what usually happens? Pew,
You go
spike.
right back up. Yep. Yep.
I really think that this is what we're just going to have to contend with for the rest of the year
Yep.
until something like happens. Like, and it might be like this for the next 4 years. Who knows?
Honestly, it might be. It might be. Unless if we got like a crazy crash or just wipe up all this volatility at the market. You know what I mean? If you look at the fear gauge index now, we're like up to like the maximum right now. So everybody is extreme fear right now, right? And
Mm,
it makes sense because it's like we don't know what direction the market is gonna go at any given day, at any given hour. Like you have to trade every single hour as a separate day now because you never know. And as soon as you see the president talking or somebody's doing something or Powell is out there, it's like something, you know, something's gonna happen. So it's almost like you have to
I
just
mean,
treat every single hour as like a separate day for some reason.
I mean, I'm telling you. I mean, this really threw me off today. Hims was down 3% right before the market opened.
Yep.
Like literally 3%. And the moment the bell rung, it was up like 4% in a matter of
Mm-hmm.
seconds.
Mm-hmm.
That's not normal. That's not normal.
Right. Right.
Like, so I don't know. Like as a trader, this is not my type of market environment that I personally like to trade in. I like things that can sustain, over, longer periods of time.
Right. Right.
And, you know, we're not getting that. Like I expect crazy moves around like things that like earnings or a big announcement about a company or something like that. But a 7% swing on a regular trading day with no news in a matter of seconds is not normal in the market. So
Oh, man, it's all because they were arguing. They were arguing the Oval Office. That's what caused all this crap.
yeah.
Oh,
So, but I will say this though, again, as an investor, when you see things like this, it presents buying opportunities. Again, not to necessarily say, oh, we've hit the bottom, I'm gonna buy, but to gradually build positions in names that have fallen on hard times. So
right, right.
I always recommend if you're trading in a high VIX environment and you see something you like, again, let's say you want to commit $1,000 to this trade. Don't put your entire $1,000 in all at one time.
Facts.
Maybe you put it in at $100 a time. Maybe you put it in at $200 a time. Accumulate your position so that if there is a drop again, right, you can average down. And the good thing about buying things like shares, you can hold them forever.
Yep.
So you might want to say, oh, I want to buy leaps. Not saying that's a bad idea. Just know that those leaps have an expiration date.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
there's decay when it comes to leaps. So when you want to get into leaps, to me, you want to get into leaps when you start getting an indication that a reversal might be in play.
Facts.
If you're accumulating shares, you don't necessarily need a reversal in play. You just want to just buy names, have them in your back pocket, and hold them.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, you know, I've been making my shopping list. My leaps are getting beat up right now, but I'm hedged as well, so it's not as nasty. But I think that you have to be to me, you have to be prepared to play both sides if you're going to buy leaps. Like if you're going to buy a leap and maybe sell calls against your leaps. Or, for every, 2 or 3 leaps you buy, maybe buy a short-term put just to hedge it.
So I
So
was gonna say, yeah, that's another
because
way to do it.
yeah,
Get you some puts
yeah.
that will hedge against that position, especially in this atmosphere right now. You know what I mean? Because you never know.
Mm-hmm. Because what you can
Um,
do is like, let's just say you got like I have Tesla leaps, right? I've had Oklo leaps. I've had what else do I got in my think VRT leaps. So what I did last week Friday was I put on puts for this week.
yep.
And once those puts made money, I can take the profits from those puts and
Roll it
then
over.
roll it over to my leaps to average down a little bit without
Yep.
necessarily pouring more money out of my personal pocket, if
Facts.
that makes sense. So
Facts.
I've been employing that strategy. I'm probably going to have to keep doing that um, until as long as we're in this market environment. Again, a 19 VIX is not something that you should sniff at. Like you have to be very,
Mhm.
very prudent with a 19 VIX. So I have to manage my long-term portfolio as, you know, wisely as I can. Now, if we start getting to a point where the market gets catastrophic and we're seeing like if we see a 60 VIX, like that's a different story. I might have to exit and probably think of another entry if we see a 60 VIX.
Here's my prediction though. I'm gonna tell you what I'm thinking right now. We are not that far. If you look on the daily charts on SPY QQQ, we're
Mm-hmm.
not that far from the 200-day EMA. I predict that we are gonna probably hit that and see if we can bounce from there,
Mm-hmm.
especially in March. March has a high probability that we're gonna drop down to that 200 EMA, and I'm talking like that's another what $20 drop on QQQ. I mean on SPY. How much will it drop on QQQ?
QQQ is close. That's like around like 490. And we're
Yeah,
at
so we're right there with QQQ. So another maybe 10, 20, I mean 18, $19 to drop
yeah,
from
it,
there.
it would not surprise me if we test it. It would not surprise me if we test it.
It's just we are too close to there for them not to push us down there. It's way too close.
So what I'm also looking at is RSP is finding buyers at this 178 level.
Yeah.
It's kind of range bound. It hasn't really done much. It's kind of been range bound, and that's
Uh,
going back to about January 21st.
yep.
So
Same spot.
if we start to break below 176-ish on the RSP, that will give me at least some sort of indication that I need to be a little bit more cautious about what could happen over the next couple of days.
Yep. Yep.
We have not breached the 200-day. I actually start putting the 200-day EMA and the SMA on my charts now, and they're kind of in the same area.
Yeah.
We've tested it. Where is that? That was on the 14th, right? No, yeah, 13th. And we bounced. We're starting to make higher lows on the RSP. We've got a double top forming on the daily on RSP. You can see it. You can see the double top
Yep.
that's formed.
Yep.
So I put the neckline at this 178.20 area ish, 178.20. We start to trade below that. I would be very, very cautious. So,
Yeah. And we're definitely in a crazy territory right now. Um, but
so,
I still think we are gonna test that 200 EMA. Like
mhm.
it's just I can't see us coming down this much and not going there and test it again. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah,
this even in RSP, this is one, two, three. This is our third time touching that same exact level again. Broke
Yep.
through it this time around, but we came right back up again, you know?
Yeah, and if you look at a 2 year chart of QQQ
Mm-hmm.
and you draw the 200 EM SMA,
That's
you'll
a
see that that has been a pretty predictable line of support
Yep, I can see it.
over the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
We had that bounce. Let's go back. This was the bounce on August 5th. We found support there. And the last time we almost got near there was back in October 2023. The last time we breached below that was going back to March 2023. So I would not be surprised if we start heading in that direction.
Yeah.
So
Hey, it's gonna be interesting, man. It's gonna be interesting. Alcalo made a good move to the upside again today, but again, it was a good move, but it wasn't like a crazy big move to the upside. You know what I mean? So my my stock finally made some more money today. I was like, oh, I've been dropping, I've been dropping for the past few days. I was like, oh Lord, you wanted
I
to
wouldn't
say,
be surprised if this thing starts coming back down though. I'll be 100% honest. I don't like how it traded the last couple of days. I don't like how it closed the week.
yeah,
But again, I think we got rewarded a little bit handsomely early in the story.
yeah,
So I'll take what I can get. I wish I would have sold more when it was at 59. I didn't, but I'm going to be holding this for a long time.
yeah, yeah. But I think we're gonna have an opportunity here when they report here in is it March or April? I think they're reporting, so we'll see.
I think it's in March. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see what come from there. Like I said, either way, whether they report and they drop, I will load up some more. If they report and they took off, I will load up some more. It's I
Hmm.
mean it's the good thing with having shares is like you don't really have to worry too much about exiting right now.
Decay. Yeah. Yeah. So
Um, One thing I want to talk about is Skype, man. I don't know if you guys remember Skype. I don't know if you guys ever use Skype. Skype is out of the business. There is getting sunset. Man, Skype brings back some good memories, man. In college and all this stuff, using Skype to communicate with people across the world. Before Zoom, before all of that stuff, we used to use Skype.
Skype was it. Microsoft bought them, and I think they're like, you know what? We have no use case for it, especially since they launched Teams. It's like Skype is
Right,
useless. Yeah. Skype is
right,
useless.
right. But man,
Yeah.
I was hoping they would do something with it, but I don't know what does that mean for Zoom. I mean, if those customers are now, I don't even know how much customers they have. I don't even know if they have any business customers that are on Skype. I don't even know if they were making money off of Skype.
I haven't heard the name Skype in years.
But
The
yeah,
last time I heard that name was on one of Trey Songz's mixtapes. He had a song called Skypes and Flights.
ah, oh
That's the
man,
last time I heard that name. It was on the Anticipation, I think Anticipation 2 album. Or
yeah, yeah,
yeah, that's the last time I heard the name.
man. I think social media and all these different things definitely kill
Oh yeah.
some of those video communication platform and stuff.
Yeah.
Once Facebook introduced be able to communicate through video, and then Instagram and all this stuff, I think Skype kind of just died off. I know they were trying to pivot to like businesses and stuff, but that just didn't pan off. You know what I mean? Like the
Yeah.
business
Skype
really
used to
didn't
be
pan off.
the long-term relationship go-to communication tool
Yeah.
before FaceTime.
Oh man, that used to be the spot, man. But it's
Yeah, that
definitely an end of an era, man. And yeah, shout out to Skype that kept us communicating to a college and all these different things. So yeah, we'll pour some for them this weekend.
pour one out for Skype. But yeah,
um,
man, that's it for me. I don't know if you got anything else.
no, I'm good, man. I'm all tapped out for this week. But again, that's just the way the market moves this today and this week. It's been some nasty moves. So we'll see how the first week of March looks like. Um, yeah, I saw some crazy IW inputs that come in. I think I shared that with you also, and it's like
Yeah, that
I
was
don't
at the
know,
200
man.
level. I think if I were to pick a weak index that's going to continue to sell off, I
Yeah,
think small caps are going to be the victim.
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't see a catalyst for small caps in any form, fashion.
yeah,
I think what I did in one of my long-term mutual fund portfolios, I usually keep about 10% small cap in that portfolio. I cut that down to 5%.
Yeah.
Just not, I'm not seeing anything positive right now. Now, when the market starts to rebound, I'll rebalance back to 10. But right now, I don't like it.
Yeah. Well, right before we go, man, before we close for the week, one thing I wanted to ask you is what would be the signs for when we start seeing some rebound or anything like that? I mean, I think people probably like whenever we see like a small rebound like we did today, is that sustainable, right? I think we talked a little bit about it. You still got to go back to the bigger time frame to see exactly where we close at. So
So I will say two things: a dovish Fed that says that they like what they see on the inflation front and the employment front. If they start to get more optimistic, that could be a catalyst.
yeah,
I will also say if the tariff story subsides, if it ever does, if the countries can come to a negotiation and find some happy medium, that can also be a catalyst. But until those two things to me will be good, but until we get them, be prepared for all this, man.
yeah,
So
gyration.
our next Fed meeting is the 19th of March. So we didn't have one in February. So I'm still in the camp of maybe one rate cut. I will say that the market is possibly pricing in a second rate cut now.
Mm-hmm.
But I personally don't believe anything that Fed funds futures have ever said in my life. I don't. So I still think that if we're going to get a rate cut, it's going to be towards the end of the year, sometime in
Yep.
maybe November, December. But I mean, October, December, because we don't have one in November.
Yep.
But aside from that, I'm in the camp of one rate cut. 1 to 0 is right how I feel personally.
That's what I
So
was gonna say. Even that one rate cut is beginning to look
it's
way
a if. It's a
slimmer.
if. Yeah. Yeah.
You
It's an
know,
if. Yeah.
really slimmer. So, but thank you for that quick tips on how to look for when for those
But
signs. I guess
yeah,
I'll say
look for those signs. But I will say this though, during times like this, to me personally, this is when you need to be focusing on your long-term portfolio.
facts.
Start making your shopping list. Don't neglect it. I get trading is the fun thing to do because you can make a lot of money, but don't neglect your long-term portfolio. So make
Yep.
your shopping list. Look at sectors that are getting hit on hard times that have been putting up good numbers. Again, right now, a lot of stocks are just getting clapped, and not because they're bad companies. It's just because of
No
the
reason.
headline overall
Yep.
economic risk that's out there, and that's affecting everyone. So make your list, do your homework, research a couple companies. I've been telling you where to start looking. To me, I say cybersecurity and software is a good place to start. Financials is another good place to look. Start there and, make your list. So don't forget that.
Facts. 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 Well, thanks, man. Y'all have a good weekend. We'll talk to y'all next week. Please, don't drive, don't drink and drive. Just stay home today. All right, y'all.
All right, everyone. Take care. Have a good weekend. See you guys
Peace.
next week,
All
Wednesday.
right.
All right.